Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
From time to time, I get introduced as like the most connected person in Columbus, like he's Mr. Networking Columbus. And you know what? I appreciate those things, but it's not true. It's really not true. It's not true at all. The person I think is way more connected than I am in Columbus, Ohio, is Chris Borja. And I've got Chris on the program again today. I say again because he was on before. He was episode 36, which came out in February 28th, 2019. Pre-pandemic, Chris was on the program with me. And Chris has come a long way in all that time, and we'll certainly catch up, but he's got a book coming out we'll talk about. But he's an award-winning speaker, trainer, consultant on the topic of business networking. He's the founder of an organization called Be a Better Networker and a founder of Connected Networking Group. And he's the CEO of Borja Virtual Conferences and Events. As I indicated, he's got a book, and the book came out in March. It's called Networking Essentials for Success, a 7-step journey to achieve your goals through authentic relationships and connected communities. What we talked about a lot in the first episode we did was for years, he suffered from extreme shyness. He was an introvert, fear of social settings. And when I say for years, I mean the guy's literally almost 40 years old, and he's dealing with this. And then he realized how to overcome those challenges, and he's on a mission to help other people become better at networking, become stronger in business through it, and connect communities. When he asked me to review his book, and I did, and I wrote a review for it. And I told people, Chris is the guy you want to learn from, because he's walked through the challenges that may be facing you. So for that, he's the perfect person to get help with when it comes to building networks, building communities. Chris, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. That's a good sign.
Well, it is. Yeah, I think this is episode 587 or something like that. So I've been doing well. I'm a little better at it than I was at episode 36. If I recall, you came here, so we both hovered around a microphone and tried to make that work. That was, it worked, but this is much better. Well, I want to talk about this book that you've come out with, Networking Essentials for Success, a 7-step journey to achieve your goals through authentic relationships and connected communities. I don't want to go too much detail because I want people to buy the book and you want people to buy the book, but I do want to kind of give us a glimpse of these 7 steps if we could.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to start off with, when I first got going in my networking journey, the challenge was there's not a lot of playbooks. There's a lot of little tips and videos and pieces that we get here and there, advice that somebody will share with us, but there's not too much education as far as schooling and our background. So it's all of our own initiative to learn how to network. And unfortunately, most people quit before they see any real results, because when somebody doesn't know exactly what to do, oftentimes they won't get the results fast enough for them to continue doing that action. So with the book, what I did was try to put together all of the things that I would guide somebody who is brand new at networking. And if it works for somebody who's brand new at networking, it'll also work well for somebody who has been networking for years, but maybe not seeing the results that they believe they should be getting or that others say they should be getting. And I relate that a little bit to a golf analogy, that somebody who just goes out and just starts swinging a club and hitting, oftentimes, they might just be trying to break 100. and they think they know how to play. But somebody who's new will say, I'm just starting this activity. I need lessons to learn how to play golf, or I'm learning how to ski. I need skiing lessons or skating lessons, whatever that happens to be. So the book is geared towards people that are just wanting to get started. However, anyone that's looking to improve their skills or realizing they're not getting the full results would definitely benefit from it as well. So that's why I took the 7 steps that it takes to actually get results and put it together in a cohesive way to where each step builds on top of the previous one. So something that's easy for people to follow.
No, I think it's, I think there's a lot of merit to this sort of book. People, I mean, you're right. When I started, it was like, yeah, just go to events, right? That's the networking advice. But that doesn't really help you. Okay, well, now what do I do when I get there? Well, you get into conversations with people. Okay, what is that conversation? There's so many, every answer has 2 questions to it. And you just end up with more and more questions, and none of it's coherent. But what it sounds like is you've put together a roadmap, if you will, of, hey, do this, do this. So anyhow, what's step 1?
Step 1 is to gain clarity. That's the number one thing, is understand who you are, what you're doing, what's the value you provide to the marketplace, what are the pain points that you solve, who are your ideal contacts and clients. But taking a step further is who are the people that can connect you with those clients, not just how do you get them, because that's traditional prospecting, that's traditional sales. How do I reach this exact person?
Right.
The reality is that most of the referrals we get is from somebody that knows somebody. And that's where the gold is when it comes to networking. And that's where it actually is a lot more efficient than traditional prospecting, but people don't realize that because it feels counterintuitive. Like, no, I need to talk to this person that wants this product. Well, it's hard to find that person, but any given room, to try to, for any product whatsoever, you go to any room, the chances of somebody needing that product at that time and having built enough trust is very slim. But being clear also, not just on all the pain points and what you're solving and how your solution, but who can connect you to that person is important. So that's step 1, is to gain clarity on that line.
Okay. All right. We gain clarity. Then what's step 2?
Step 2 is having the right mindset around what networking truly is. And again, I created a little bit of a differentiator between traditional prospecting, and oftentimes people think networking is really, they don't put a title to it, but it's really prospecting and going to events or groups or organizations to generate leads and prospects. And not that that wouldn't happen, but it's not the best way for that to happen. It's better to create relationships and community. So one of the analogies that I love sharing is like a poker analogy, to where instead of playing against one another, we're sitting on the same side or we're exchanging cards. So Frank, if you and I are playing against each other, we're holding our cards tight. If I say, Frank, let me see what cards you have, you're definitely not going to lean in. You're going to lean back and hold your cards even closer to protect me from me seeing them. But how do I get you to get closer? How do I get you to lean in? Is I show my cards first. Say, Frank, do you need any of these cards? I show them to you. You pick out the 2 and the 3, which is the lowest cards in the whole deck. And I don't understand why you would want the 2 or the 3, but I don't realize you already have a 4, 5, and 6. And now you have a straight. You have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 2 and 3 meant nothing to me. And that happens in the real world, to where we have all kinds of valuable contacts, but don't realize how important and how life-changing that contact can be to somebody else. And now you're leaning in to look at my cards. You just discard a couple, and you happen to throw a couple of hearts that meant nothing to you, but you don't realize I have 3 hearts, and now I completed a flush. So we can help improve each other's hands. And as we get more people to play the game this way, we can all improve our hands. We're changing it from a loser and a winner type of situation to where we all win by improving our hands. And the more people, obviously, that we have at our table playing this new game where we can exchange, the higher hands that we all have, that we can all exchange. So that's the mindset around what proper networking really is. It's collaboration and working together.
I love that metaphor. Okay, gain clarity, get the mindset. Step 3?
Systems and tools, getting systems and tools. I don't know how many times people say they don't go out and network. Oh, I need to get my business cards, or I haven't updated my LinkedIn yet, or I don't have a Facebook page, or I don't have my website. Once I get these things done, I'll go out and network. So instead of having people go out and network, let's go ahead and get these things out of the way. Let's get these set up so you do feel confident, so you do want to go, so you can share your information as you learn from other people as well, and something that represents you. So that's everything, systems and tools, everything from what I just mentioned, social media, website, calendar app, which makes it super easy to set appointments nowadays. You don't have the back and forth, even if you don't have an assistant. Just here's a link to my calendar. Go ahead and find a time that works for you, and boom, it's done. So having all that, your contact management set up, it gives people the confidence to feel like they're ready, which is oftentimes an excuse of why they don't actually network.
Oh, that's a good one. It's one of those things that is often overlooked, just having those sorts of things in place, and either it prevents people from doing something or prevents them from being effective. So systems and tools, I like it. Step 4.
Step 4 is what we think of networking is getting out and actually meeting new people. Where to meet people, different places, discovering different places to meet people. It could be official networking events, but by having the right mindset, tools, all those things set up, literally anywhere you go turns into a potential networking opportunity. It could be an official networking event. It could be a service organization. It could be a volunteer situation. It could be nonprofit that you're serving at. It could be sitting on the sidelines at your son's or daughter's soccer game or football game, whatever it is, talking with the parents and just building relationships. So when we realize that it's not just networking events that we network at, it's literally anywhere there's other people. So under having that right mindset so all these steps lead to where it's more is beneficial, because people understand that it's really just about building relationships, connections, sharing resources with one another. So instead of meeting people being the first step, which most people think of, like, just teach me how to be more comfortable. Well, just because someone's comfortable doesn't make him a good networker. We know people that love to talk, comfortable all day long around people. It doesn't make them a good networker. But the reverse, the same thing. It's like, just because someone's not comfortable, it doesn't make them a poor networker. They might not be as comfortable in those situations, but they could be outstanding as far as connecting, building genuine connections and relationships. So step 4 is actually getting out and meeting new people.
Where is just kind of put you on the spot a little bit, but where's the most unusual place you've met that, let's say, great connection, but decent connection?
I think conferences are really, really overlooked. Sometimes they say it, but it just generally doesn't happen because there's so many people, and it could be intimidating to not have your cohort there, your team, your people, your friends. So a lot of times people feel uncomfortable at conferences. And I think that's a great opportunity and place to meet people, and also meet people. For me, I practice what I preach, and literally I've met people in all different places, from church, conferences, on the sideline. I'm still friends with many people that were, when we had the kids in sports back then, and still in touch with a lot of the parents through Facebook or LinkedIn. So there's a lot of, pretty much anywhere there's people, in my opinion, when you understand that networking is just about relationships. It doesn't have to be in the business context, but it can lead to it.
I totally agree. All right. Step 1, gain clarity. I'm just kind of giving a recap here. Again, on the program, Chris Borja, he's the founder of Become a Better Networker. He's got a book out called Networking Essentials for Success, a 7-step journey to achieve your goals through authentic relationships and connected communities. We're going through these 7 steps quickly. Go buy the book. 1, gain clarity. 2, have the right mindset. Be cooperative as you talk to people. Step 3, get your systems and tools in place, your social media, your calendar or scheduler, whichever one you want to use. And then step 4 is where the rubber meets the road. Get out and start meeting new people. Step 5, Chris.
Step 5 is building strong relationships. And that's something that people, and myself included, I didn't understand in the beginning. If they didn't need my services, how do I stay in touch with them? How do I stay in the picture? And again, it goes back to all the previous steps, having those all in place, staying in touch with each other. And it's not necessarily a follow-up for business, like, hey, did you want to set up a time where we can do a presentation? It's not that. It's just genuinely getting to know each other, but building strong relationships, understanding the strength of a relationship, and also the strength of the ask. The ask is determined by the strength of your relationship. The stronger the relationship, the bigger the ask. If you want to meet a CEO, should be a higher level strength of relationship, somewhere in the 8, 9, or 10 range. If you just want to ask them and invite them to another event, That can be much lower. It could be anywhere from a 1, 2, or 3, and do that. But learning how to judge that, to determine that, and also how to continue growing that and adding value to people's lives, whether or not they're going to be your customer or not, because it's counterintuitive, but that's actually what leads to more customers, is just having more people in your proximity that you've built a relationship with. So step 5 is building strong relationships.
I totally agree. I love just the whole notion of just build relationships. Don't overthink it. You never know who knows who. So anyway, I won't say any more. I want you to continue on. I don't want to step on your toes or anyhow, step 6.
Step 6 is building your personal brand and your personal community. What that means is that we build a brand whether we realize it or not. And some of our brands is that nobody knows who you are. You're the unknown person, and that's your brand. But people will look you up. And I know many that are listening out there, they've done the same thing. You meet somebody, you want to see what they're about, or you're going to hire somebody, or you're going to work for somebody. You want to learn a little bit more about that person. So what do? You spy on them on social media. You look up their Twitter, their LinkedIn, their Facebook, whatever you could find, TikTok, and see what this person is about. So that's part of it, is using social media. But what do people say about you when you're not there? What do they say about you to where that becomes who you are? And that's an important part of being able to get referrals, being able to actually generate results from networking, is from that personal brand. The second part of that is building your own personal community. So with the traditional prospecting style of building sales or creating sales, it's sifting and sorting. It's like, are you a customer? Yes or no? And if it's no, then you go in this pile over here. Then we need to go through a whole bunch of more people to go through the process with. With networking, it's different. It's a reverse funnel. Instead of talking to 100 people to maybe get one client, it's about making one solid connection, and it opens them up to the hundreds of people that they potentially could refer you to. So instead of having to go through 100 and then another 100, you're eventually going to have to move towns or start buying lists and getting worse and worse. Through networking, it actually gets better and better because each of those connections opens up new channels. And it also leads into step 7 as well. So that's step 6 is personal brand and also having a personal community.
Okay. Well, we can't stop short of step 7, right?
Okay. Yeah.
that would be mean. Buy the book. No,
yeah, buy the book for step 7.
Yeah.
Step 7 is creating winning collaborations and partnerships. And this is something that in the early stages, I didn't have in my arsenal. I didn't understand it. I was literally just trying to get the sale, and that was the end of the road. But I felt like I was missing something, and I was missing something big, and I was. And that's creating winning collaborations and partnerships. So instead of looking for individual clients, finding ways to find partnerships. For most people out there, you could find somebody out in the marketplace that will send you an ongoing source of referrals, leads, to where it's not even for you to make money. It's, even though you will, but it's because you can provide a service to that person. Right. And that's a winning collaboration and partnership. Now, many people want to get that. When they realize that and they want to get there, if they don't have all the other steps ready, they're either not ready for that conversation, or they don't look ready to the person that might potentially partner with them. They look back at their stuff and they're like, I don't know if they're really on par with who and what I am and what my brand represents. And that's why all of them are important. And step 6 leads to step 7, because that branding is important. Also having a personal community, that the stronger our personal community, the larger and stronger that personal community is, then the more trustworthy we automatically are with other people. The people we don't trust are disconnected. They don't have any other connections. Okay, how do we trust somebody that is a loner, that has no friends, that has no connections, no relationships? On the flip side of that, somebody who's being talked about a lot, so in a positive way, somebody that's being brought up, that's known, we automatically have a trust for them simply. And we know this, you look at somebody with a large community, they automatically have our trust. They don't need to convince us of how long they've been in business and what they can do for us and their track record. They already have their track record. So when somebody's looking to partner with us, it's the same thing. They're looking at, can I trust this person to let into my network? And the chances are is like letting somebody borrow your car. If you have a nice car and your friend has a nice car and they say, hey, my car's in the shop, can I borrow your car for the weekend? If it's your good friend and they have the same car as you, you're like, yeah, sure, here's the keys. But if they have a beater or they don't own a car and they say, hey, can I borrow your car for the weekend? You might think twice about letting them have the keys. If they have a same car or nicer, if they have a really nice car, you absolutely don't have any problem lending them the keys because they're trustworthy with their nicer car than yours. And I look at networking the same way, that if we have that community, even if it's not all the same size, but that community means something when it comes to putting together partnerships. When people look at it, it does create instant trust, simply because you have a network, you have a community, just like having a nice car and, a friend being willing to let you borrow it.
Sounds good. All right, let's we've been through the 7 steps. I want to shift gears here as we kind of wrap up, and talk about some of the programs you put on, certainly go out and buy the book, but there's more to Chris than just the book. Talk about the Connected Networking Group and how people can get a hold of you.
Yep, absolutely. So two things I just want to share is the Connected Networking Group. That's our group, which we are expanding. And really what we look at is a way for people that are new to networking to get active and get involved and get started in networking. And from there, we're a big collaborator with many other organizations and networking groups. And we love just being that first step for people that aren't comfortable networking. And I feel like that's my special positioning and purpose in life. Because of my background, I feel like I understand the fears and anxieties that people go through. So we just create super comfortable ways for them to meet, both whether it's in person or online. So we're expanding that throughout the country and the world over the next few years. So connectednetworkinggroup.com is where somebody can learn more about that. And the second thing is a Networking Breakthrough Academy, which is basically the book come to life. It's an interactive, immersive program. So all the steps that we just shared with here in the show, it's a way for people to experience it. And that's the way I like to teach, is through experience, instead of saying, hey, do this, don't do this, here's your list of things. I put people in situations to where they experience it, because we all know that things we experience, we never forget. And along the way, the classmates end up creating these really strong bonds and friendships and connections for life, because they went through 12 weeks. So it's a 12-week program that we do on Monday nights. It's virtual. So we utilize our talents in the virtual space to create engaging situations for workshops, to where they can meet at tables. And we have things where basically by the end of class, everyone knows each other because of the way it's structured. They reveal a lot of things, but a lot of it is also about self-discovery, of finding out why am I afraid of these things, or why haven't I done this, or learning about ourselves is an important part. So it's all self-discovery, a lot of training through interaction, and also leaving the class with an actual community of people that all learned and believe in the same things and are there to support. So we've only graduated one class so far, which I'm excited about. We had 22 people graduate from the very first one, and just seeing their interaction with each other and the introductions they're making for each other, it's super exciting. So we're looking forward to that making a bigger and bigger impact as we move forward.
Great. Well, I did some quick math. It's been 551 episodes between your first time on and your second time on. It won't be that many episodes. We need to get you back on here. Chris, I really appreciate your time today. For our listeners, Chris Borja, he is the author of Networking Essentials for Success, a 7-step journey to achieve your goals through authentic relationships and connected communities. I'll get his website in the show notes. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate you, Frank.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today, and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.